And when you're seeing a student for the first time, are there some strategies that you use to begin to sort of build a relationship with them? I call it sort of breaking the ice, starting to get them to feel comfortable.
Hmm. Definitely not rushing with the student when you're meeting
Okay.
them for the first time, not just diving into maybe the reason that they've come in or the reason that they've been referred, just taking that really important time to get to know them. Try to find something that you have in common so that you can talk about that. I find for myself, I like to use a little bit of humor with kids when they
Sure.
come down.
Make them feel at ease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little laugh, a little giggle is really goes a long way to just making them feel more comfortable at the beginning.
So if the student comes and they have a particular problem, are you able to deal with all of that on the first time that you meet them to help them solve that issue?
Sometimes you
Okay.
can just solve the problem if it's something that is solvable in a short amount
Okay.
of time. But very often you just are taking the first step with the student in that first
Okay.
visit.
So then they would be coming back then for more support from you. Okay, so the first meeting could is the start of something.
Yes.
Ah,
And
okay.
very often I will give the students what I call homework. It's not homework the traditional sense of the word, but I will get them to do something in advance of meeting for the second or third time, whether it's just keeping track of when they're feeling a certain way or trying something different and getting them to see whether they're seeing different results. So I will give them a little bit of homework, and then that can help us
Okay.
have a starting point when they come back for their second visit.
Gotcha. And what do you do to help the student feel comfortable that you're on their side, that you're an ally for them?
Being open and honest. I feel it's very important for the students to know what I can do for them and what I can't do for them, that they know in my role, what I can keep a secret and what I can't keep a
Mm-hmm.
secret is very important. Um, and not rushing things with the student. So, not assuming that what I think is the obvious solution to the problem is something that they're comfortable with or can achieve at this time. So, really listening actively, making sure that you're paraphrasing with the student, that
Mm-hmm.
you're saying back to them what you hear so that they feel heard. That goes a long way to making them feel as though you're on their side if you're really listening and you're using their language.
Right. Great advice. Great advice. I imagine, I think back to when I was a teenager, and I seem to remember struggling with emotion a lot, like feeling always like extremes. When things were good, it was extreme happy. When things were not so good, very difficult. You must see students that are struggling with powerful and strong emotions. How do you help them manage that when they're meeting with you?
I think first and foremost, just letting them know however they're feeling is fine,
Mm-hmm.
that there's no emotion that's wrong, but trying to help them realize that sometimes as human beings, when one thing is going wrong, we feel like everything is going wrong.
Sure.
So if we can just try and take things one step at a
Mm-hmm.
time, isolate the one problem that is foremost in their mind, the one thing that's getting in their way right now. If you can take that one problem and even just move one step toward a solution, that's a great session. That's all that you really need to accomplish. You don't have to
Right.
fix everything. So I feel like that brings the emotion down because
Yeah.
the expectations aren't so high. But also, I will often ask the student if they would like a cup of tea or if they would need something to eat.
Yeah.
Because if we're feeling hungry or if we're thirsty, everything else is going to be that much worse.
For sure. I know that from personal experience when I'm hungry. Um, some of the things you must hear from students must be hard to hear and touch emotions for you. How do you keep your emotional balance when you're seeing young people who might be struggling with things?
It is difficult. There have been times when I have cried after a student has left my office. I've sort of held it together while they were there, but then they close the door and I just fall apart. And for me, I think it's important to honor that emotion, that it's okay that I'm feeling like that. I'm feeling like that because I care, and so that makes me good at my job. But I rely a lot on my colleagues. So if I need to run something past them, if I need to talk about something, they're always there for me, and I hope they feel I'm there for them. My family is a great resource, and I just try to just take a step back, look at the big picture, and just know that I'm doing the best that I can. So I haven't maybe made everything perfect in the student's life, but I've done something to help them.
Fantastic. This is really great advice for all of our mentors. If you had, do you have any, like, one last little piece of advice that you think anybody who's going to be mentoring a vulnerable youth should know? What might that be, Shannon?
I think the most important thing to remember is that if a youth is involved in coming up with a solution to a problem, they're much more likely to follow through with what needs to be done. And it's sometimes easy for us to see the obvious solution, but unless the person you're working with also sees that as a solution that they can manage, you're not going to be able to have any kind of resolution. So just really listening to the person that you're working with, making sure you know what they're willing to do, and responding with that in mind is very important.
Fantastic. You mentioned listening a couple of times, and I know it's a big component of the relationship building. So thank you for stressing that, and thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. I know the information that you have shared with us this afternoon is going to make a big difference to all of our mentors. Thank you, Shannon. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.